it's your girl from Philly. Welcome to another episode of Handcrafted Wines, where we make great wine from home the fun and easy way. Before we get started, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes.
I'm stuck in a cloud, drifting away to get out.
In today's episode, we're going to be making ginger wine. It's an ingredient-rich recipe, but it's going to be worth it in the end, you'll see. So our ingredients are 2 pounds of ginger that I washed thoroughly and I set in the refrigerator overnight with 1 Campden tablet in water. We also have 6 Medjool dates, the zest of 1 lemon, the zest of 1 orange, and the juice of a lemon. We're not using the juice of the orange today. 3 cups of lightly packed brown sugar, which is equivalent to 2.5 cups of heavily packed sugar, if that's a word. And for our usual players, we're going to be using pectic enzyme to break down the cell walls of our ginger and our fruit. We're going to be using our dynamic duo, which is our yeast nutrient and our yeast energizer. We're going to be using powdered tannin. And for our yeast, we're using Red Star Premier Classique. I'm going to come off camera for a little while so that I can take this ginger and break it down in the food processor just so that we can get it into the fermenter a lot easier. So I'll be back in a few moments. Talk to you soon. Okay, guys, I'm back. That didn't take long at all. So we have our 2 pounds of ginger processed through the food processor. And while I was off camera, I also pitted our Medjool dates. So now we can put our wine together. Now there's multiple ways to make ginger wine. I like to use my ginger raw because the quality that I'm looking for, or the type of wine that I'm looking for, is more like a ginger beer. I like it spicy, and I like the ginger flavor very bold. It's not the type of wine that you will pour an 8-ounce glass and just drink it straight down. It is kind of hot, but I like that. I do notice that there are recipes out there that call for boiling your ginger, which is fine too. I find that as far as color, when you boil the ginger, you get a deeper, richer colored wine. And when you use it raw, you get a brighter colored wine. But the difference is that the gingerols are sharp in raw ginger, and they've mellowed out when you boiled it or made a tea out of it. So we're going to add our ginger. Ginger has a almost lemony scent to it, but it's a great smell. And the gingerols in ginger it's really good medicine. I'm not a doctor, but I do make ginger wine. Ginger has digestive properties. It helps to move digested food out of your body faster. Not like a laxative or anything like that. It just speeds up the digestive process so you eliminate better. It also is a anti-inflammatory. So if you have things like arthritis or any type of issues with inflammation, ginger helps out a great deal. I remember being a child and getting ginger, lemon, and honey whenever I got sick. Okay, we're about a third of the way through. When I was researching recipes for ginger wine, I saw that in the UK, they boil a lot of their wines. So not just, root vegetables like ginger, but a lot of the fruits and vegetables that they make wine out of, or herbs, they'll boil it first. I have a tendency to like to use things raw if I can. I don't know if it makes any difference in the quality of the wine. It's just what I like to do. I spilled a little bit, but that's all right because we have plenty. Now, ginger wine goes very, very well with anything grilled. Grilled seafood, grilled meat, grilled chicken. And if you're vegan, it actually goes very, very well with grilled tofu. You know, I was actually, I've done it a couple of times in life, but very recently I went plant-based and it lasted for, I want to say, about 5 months. And then Babe asked, did you want a cheesesteak? And I said, yeah, and that was the end of that. But one of the proteins that I absolutely loved when I ate plant-based was tofu. For some reason, it didn't agree with me. It gave me acne, but grilled tofu with some ginger wine would be a perfect summer dish for me. I also made tempeh, which is another story. But again, it's another soy product, unless I made it out of beans. And for some reason, I have issues with soy, so I can't have it. So we're almost done. And it looks like it's taking up a lot of space. Once there's liquid in here, it'll move a little bit further down. But the quality I go for is very similar to a ginger beer without the effervescence. Okay, so now we're going to add our Medjool dates. You can use regular dates if you like. If you use regular dates, then I would suggest maybe using 10 of them because they're a lot smaller. And what Medjool dates or what dates are going to do for this is the same thing raisins would do. It would give it a little bit more body. Since ginger is a root and it's so astringent and thin, I guess that's the best way to describe it. Adding something like a date gives your wine a little bit more body. These are gorgeous. I love dates. They're another food that's really great for digestion. They're so full of fiber. They take such good care of the tummy. And this is the zest of one orange. Of course, we don't use any pith at all. We make sure that it's only the zest. The zest of one lemon. Now, because this is such an ingredient heavy batch, we're not going to get 5 bottles out of this batch. We're going to probably get just about 4. And I'm going to juice 1 lemon. I actually have a half a lemon from a batch of wine that I made yesterday. So I think I might add that too. So that's the first half. That's 1. 2. I'm going to get those seeds that went inside. You don't want them. Not that they would hurt anything, but I prefer not to have seeds fermenting in my wine. I'm going to turn this one upside down because this particular lemon is very seedy. Okay. And then the last bit of lemon. So this batch is going to be on the sharp acidic end of the spectrum, which I'm okay with. So we have all of our goodies in here. The only thing we don't have is our brown sugar. But I'm going to pour hot water over our ginger, our dates, and our fruit, our lemon and our peels, before I add the brown sugar. And the color that's leaching out of the ginger is this creamy, creamy yellow. I'll show it to you in a moment. So I compacted a little bit. And ginger has a tendency to escape out of the bag, so we're going to make sure this bag is good and tight. One more tie. Just because I don't want to go through the process of straining my batch when I'm done. And where's my spoon? I'm going to press this down into the hot water a little bit. Now this, I may make a 5-gallon batch of this as well. And if I'm not feeling well, absolutely sip on some ginger wine. The wine, because it's alcoholic, relaxes you, and all of the properties of the ginger are still there, even though it's gone through fermentation. So now we're going to add our, pull this out a little bit. Oh, it's so fat. And we're going to add our brown sugar. I'm going to add the brown sugar by spoonfuls. And the reason I'm using brown sugar again is it has a little bit more body than white sugar does. I'm very interested in this having a lot of body to it. And the reason why brown sugar has so much body is because there's still molasses in it, which is why it's brown. Now that spilled right back into the measuring cup, so no big deal. And I'm going for a dark, rich colored wine. Oh, I didn't show you guys the color. So I'll show you now because I didn't stir the brown sugar in. See how it's a creamy kind of yellow? You're just going to do its magic. And this pairs really, really well with different cuisines from different parts of the world. It'd be wonderful with some jerk chicken, but it'd be just as good with some Chinese dumplings or some Korean barbecue, just because ginger is a flavor that goes across so many different cultures. Even American barbecue. Some Texas brisket or some southern ribs, that would be all right. Okay, so we're going to stir our brown sugar in. Make sure it's well incorporated. Now this batch I will keep a really careful eye on. I have made batches of ginger wine that the fermentation got stuck. So I'm going to make sure that this is, it stays vigorous throughout the entire fermentation process. I want this to ferment till it's bone dry, and then I will back sweeten it on the back end. And I may back sweeten it with brown sugar. I may back sweeten it with white sugar. It depends on how rich the wine is once I'm done. There's still crystals at the bottom. Let's give you a twirl. It's very interesting how many foods was actually used as medicine for centuries. And we just consider them foods now. Ginger is one of those. All right, we're good to go. That was pretty fast. I'm going to add some cold water now and bring it up to level. And that diluted it quite a bit. Okay. Now for our usual players. We have our pectic enzyme, which for me is essential in this batch. But again, if it's not something that you want to use, you're not obligated to use it. I just like the idea of knowing that everything that I put in here is going to break down. The cell walls are going to break down, and I'll be able to experience everything in my wine. But if you don't have it, or if you don't want to use it, it's your wine. Do as you want. These are just suggestions. They're not rules or laws. And now we're going to add our dynamic duo, which is our yeast nutrient and our yeast energizer. And because none of the properties we use today have any type of tannin in them, of course, we're going to add some tannin. I'm going to dissolve it with a little hot water just to make our life easier. I don't think you can see this, but there's an actual, this whole cake of tannin floating at the top. It's so resistant to dissolving. Yeah, this is going to be a very strong and bold flavored wine. But I'm here for it. I'm excited. It's still not completely dissolved. I once saw a recipe where someone was making ginger wine and they added 2 Scotch bonnet peppers in it. For me, that's over the top. I feel like the ginger is hot enough, but I just thought the idea was kind of interesting. Still not completely dissolved, which means if I had placed it directly in the batch, we would have just had chunks of tannin. I'm going to wipe the spoon off on the bag. We get all that. And there's still a little bit more, so I'm going to add a little bit more water. And of course, alternately, you can use tea. You can use black tea. Black tea actually would have been pretty good in this. But I'm a tannin believer. I'm a tannin believer. Okay. Now we have it all dissolved. And I'm going to stir that before we add our yeast. But we're going to take a hydrometer reading too. Now, the dates have a lot of sugar in them. So the reading that I have today, I'm not going to really think that that's exactly, what our prediction should be. Just because there will be more sugars breaking down from the very dense dates. What could you see yourself pairing ginger wine with? Remember, it's spicy, but it's also a bright taste. and it can be very refreshing. Okay, let's take our reading. Grab my stars in. It's our beaker. Turkey baster. And our hydrometer. Just that little bit, it's sanitized. Okay. So we would have to get our 250 milliliters into our beaker so we can test. I think about 2 or 3 more pulls will do it. I might need more than that. We might put number 4. Yeah, just a little bit. Oh, actually, it's not at the line. There we go. We are at goal. And this is about a halfway through the red line of my hydrometer. So let's see what that means for us. Okay, so our reading is 1.080, which brings us to about 12% alcohol by volume. I actually think it's going to be a little bit more just once the dates inside start to break down, the sugars inside. But right now, looking at 12%, that's not bad. That's pretty good. I'm going to start working with Premier Rouge as well as, I can't remember the name of it, but I know it's the one that goes to 18% alcohol by volume. I'll try those two out just to start making some higher alcohol batches to see what happens with them. I'll do it with something dark like blueberries, something where a little bit of alcohol won't affect the quality of the wine that we're drinking. I may even make some grape wine. Once you start making country wines, the idea of just making wine with grapes seems so passe. You get so excited about being able to try different fruits and vegetables and herbs and flowers. What I'd like to try next, or maybe not next, but soon, is a carrot wine. I can imagine how much red is going to get all over everything. Okay, so we filled our airlock to the max fill line. I'm going to open this a little bit so it balances out again. I think I'm going to add this. No, I won't add any more water because we've already taken our reading. All right. So this will be stirred every day for the next 7 days, or because the bag is so heavy inside, I may just swirl it around every day for the next 7 days. And I'm doing it again, guys. This isn't going anywhere without some yeast. So let's do the yeast. Last but not least, our little yeasties. They're hydrating really quickly. I'm going to just tap on the bag a little bit. I'm not going to actually stir the yeast. I'm going to tap it back just to agitate them a little bit because I don't want them to stick to the spoon. I have a little sticking on the sides of the fermenter. And I want everyone to come alive and everyone to have a wonderful party in their new atmosphere. Okay. Such a deep color. I'm assuming it's going to come out very close to, well, darker than a ginger ale and not quite the color of a ginger beer, but we'll see. I'm excited about this batch though. Okay, so again, I'm going to be stirring this or swirling around every day for the next 7 days. We will have wine in 7 to 14 days. This will most likely probably take a full 14 days. There's a lot going on inside this batch. And it would be wine in that period of time. It will be good wine in 6 months. It'll be great wine in a year. And ginger beer actually tastes even better if you let it age a couple of years. So one of these bottles I may put aside and just let it, get a really good aging on it. Did I say ginger beer? Ginger wine. Okay, I want to thank you again for spending this time with me. As always, I had a great time with you. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, buy your equipment, make your own wine, because there's nothing like your own homemade wine. And see you next time. Bye-bye.